Good, man. I appreciate you guys being here as always. That was our final scrimmage of fall camp. So now 2 weeks till we go down to Georgia to play Georgia Southern. So, and our guys done a good job. I talked prior to the scrimmage about, iron is one of the strongest metals around. The only way to make iron great and turn it into something great is through the fire. And that's really what fall camp is you're consistently trying to find ways to put our players in hard situations, so they got to respond and react to it. So it's building them through the fire and the hard times. Our guys have done a really good job. And now we finished well today. There's still a lot of things on film for the next 2 weeks we got to clean up, all three phases, so I'm excited to do that. But there was a lot of growth as a full team from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2, which is what you look for. No different game 1 to game 2, so I'm proud of how all three phases grew, and some guys stepped up today. So I'm proud of the overall place where we're at, but just like anything, you got to respond to adversity, and our teams work their tail off to do that. Same thing with the quarterbacks. We were able to play Maddox with the Blues, Malachi with the Blues, both got some Orange Series reps, and both competed and did some good things. And so we will work with me, Coach Kart, our offensive staff. We're going to look at the whole body of work to this point, not just today's scrimmage, not just last week's scrimmage, the practice, and look at the full body of work to who gives us the best chance to win game 1, because that's what we're in the business of. And I know everybody has their opinion on it. The amount of calls and texts I get in regards to the quarterback, which I get, it's a huge position on our team, and it's a huge position for Boise State and Bronco Nation. But whoever gives us the best opportunity to win through all levels of it, that's who we're going to decide to go into game 1 with the starter. Now, that will play out how it plays out. We'll work through that at the early part of next week. So just talking about the scrimmage, though, a couple guys to shout out. Latrell Caples had a big-time day today. I mean, he had one 90-yard pass, I think it was, backed up situation, something like, 90-ish yards. He did a great job leading on the sideline. I can't say enough good things about Latrell and how he stepped up as leader and staying in the receiver core. Cam Camper healthy, going through it, had a good day today. I think he had over 50 yards receiving today, a couple really good catches to move the chains. And so those are some guys that highlighted. Sire Gaines ran hard as always. Proud of how that true freshman's grown and developed, and Dylan Riley as another young freshman have done some really good things for us in our backfield. O-line continues to grow and develop. Coach Keene, Coach Potter with that front have done a good job. And so we've been able to rotate and play a lot of guys, because that's the mentality of our team, is how we play up front. On the other side, defensively, some guys that showed up. Obviously, Jake Rips had a really good fall camp so far. Ty Benfield had some really good tackles today. That was a huge emphasis for our defense coming out of last scrimmage, is tackling, because you don't get a lot of live pops at tackling. It's tag, it's wrap, and so being able to have another situation to take ball carries to the ground. On the flip side, our offense needed to break tackles. Defense did a better job tackling today. So Ty Benefield's one to shout out. And even Tavion Woodard had some really good plays, had a couple sacks, a couple TFLs, a transfer that was here in the spring, starting to really figure it out and grow. Bryce Cleve, another guy that came in and did some good things for us. So proud of where both sides, there was some good back and forth, which is what you want in a scrimmage, to see both sides successful and two things to work on either side of the ball. So proud of where we're at right now. They've done a good job these 2.5 weeks through fall camp. Now as we go into our bonus week next week and then the following week, game week, we still got a lot to continue to grow and keep pushing.
So you said early next week. So I guess you're saying right now, what you see in scrimmage 2, you guys are going to make that call here on the QB in the next couple of days?
Yeah, we're going to work to make it here in the next couple of days, BJ. So I'm going to sit down. Obviously, we've been doing it consistently every practice. It's not like all of a sudden now we're going to be having these quarterbacks. But I wanted to use the whole body of work, the whole fall camp, everything we do, from the stats of it and the whole focus is who is going to help us win game 1. That's my job as the head coach, is to put every player at all positions, special teams, O&D, in the situation to win game 1. And then however that goes in the season, you got to adapt and adjust. But that's our goal through fall camp, is to find out who gives us the best opportunity to win game 1. So we'll sit down, me and Dirk, I'll sit down with the offensive staff. I'll look at all of it, the stats again, and just to make sure we make the best decision early next week.
Is there a scenario, Spencer, outside of injury or poor play, where both of these quarterbacks could see action week 1? Or is it still the plan, you're going to find your guy and that's it?
Yeah, we're not going to be in a 2-quarterback situation, Johnny, if that's what you're asking. Whoever the starter is as we go through it will be the starter. Now, they don't play well. They're making bad decisions. Whatever that might be in the game, we're gonna make changes. Obviously, we got 2 really good quarterbacks. That's what I tell people. I love Maddox, I love Malachi. They're great kids. They work their tail off. Their teammates love them. That's why we're in this situation, and it's a blessing to be in this situation. But we're gonna go in with a starter, and then we'll adapt and adjust from there.
When you look at last week's scrimmage to this week's scrimmage, where do you guys think you guys had your biggest improvements?
I'd say one of the biggest improvements from last week to this week is the tackling, Bob. Last week we struggled to tackle, did a good job in spring, but prior to that scrimmage hadn't had any live reps. And so it really was on film that we need to improve our tackling. And that was a huge point of emphasis coming out of last season. Our players did a good job with the tackling. There's still some missed tackles that we got to improve on, but I'd say that was one of the points of emphasis of the whole scrimmage. And our offense did a better job on third down this week, which was a huge emphasis leading last week's scrimmage.
Learning to coach and diagnose position groups that you haven't done before.
Yeah.
What is that like and the challenge, and how are you digging it?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, my focus as the head coach here is those over 100 players in our locker room. Those 115 young men is all I care about, all I focus on. So I've never been a running back coach. I've never been a tight end coach, but I am getting very involved with the players to make sure I know exactly what's going on, where they need to grow and where they at, how can we push them to be better, because they matter to me. And me being able to speak truth in their lives, because I'm having these conversations with our players because I need to. It's not, well, this is what this coach said. I want to know the ins and outs. I want to know what these players are getting taught to grow in so that I can have real conversations with them too. Not just depth chart, but hey, this is why. Because right now, going into Sunday, tomorrow, I mean, we start having those conversations with our players, with still all knowing that will adapt and change. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times that there's been a starter game 1 that isn't a starter week 3. Because, hey, he doesn't play well, whatever happens. Obviously, injuries happen. So guys need to continue to push regardless of where they're at right now after our second scrimmage. But long-winded answer to your question, Johnny, it's everything to me. Because everything in this building is about developing our players to be the best version of themselves. And I am involved in our players' lives in all facets. That's the things that matter to me. There's a lot that goes on in this building that I'm focused on. Most important thing here is our players.
You mentioned Ty having a strong scrimmage. Just from where he was a year ago, a true freshman, having not playing a college football game. How have you seen him grow?
Ty's always had the mentality here, even as a true freshman, still learning the defense, still figuring out kind of what it takes. He is a guy that has big-time habits for a true freshman last year and going into his true sophomore year. He's got the habits of a senior in regards to how he preps, how he trains. He's the guy at practice, similar to like an Ahmed or an Ashton, where it's like, hey, Ty, I need you to slow it down here, because he's just wired to everything's full speed, fast, attack, because he wants to be elite. He wants to not only be an elite safety here, he wants to be an NFL safety. Like, that's what he wants to do, and he practices like it. So his habits have been great. Now it's just fine-tuning him. Another year in the system, he's learned it and grown, and now his level of leadership has stepped up, so he can start to have some command on that back end, which he does.
In your mind, do you have a way you think it's probably going to go with the QB battle? I mean, has somebody stood out? Not that you're going to name them, but I mean, has somebody stood out more than the other, or has this truly been a 50-50 battle?
Yeah, going into this fall camp, BJ, I mean, that's what everybody wants to know. It's a true battle. I wanted to see, because I owe it to our players, I owe it to Boise State University, I owe it to Bronco Nation to make sure there is no bias, there is no anything. It is who is the best quarterback to win games. And so as each day goes, there's some fluctuation, but I look at the whole picture. There's a lot of things I look at in regards to who is going to be our starting quarterback, into decision-making, who's turned the ball over, what are the explosive plays, who knows the offense best, who can execute the offense best, who's the best leader for our team right now, because we got to go win game 1. I mean, we have a big-time opponent here in 2 weeks in an environment that we don't train in normally, that we have to be ready for. We got to go win game 1, and it's my job to make sure the 11 guys that go on the field are the ones that put us in the best situation. And then we'll adapt and adjust from there. So, BJ, It has been back and forth. I definitely have not had any preconceived ideas going into fall camp. I wanted to be very black and white, look at the stats, look at who gives us the best opportunity to win.
What about this week coming up? It sort of basically seems like camp is sort of over and you're getting ready to Georgia Southern. So how is it different when you have 2 weeks basically to go into a game versus most of the time during the season?
Yeah, so bonus week for us, and I think we've had this conversation before. I've done a ton of research on fall camp to make sure we win game 1. We haven't been successful in game 1 here in a couple years, and so there's a lot of research in regards to fall camp. The 2 things for me leaving when you play game 1, you got to be fresh, but you better be ready. And so those are the 2 things that we've been focused on in everything in regards to our operation, how we practice, reps, all those things. And so going into bonus week, Tuesday will be a little bit of a blend. There'll be a little bit of Georgia Southern input, but a lot of it's still on, hey, our coaches on Sunday and Monday are going to self-scout fall camp. What I mean by that is offense, defensively, special teams. Hey, what are we really good at right now? Maybe we thought we were going to be really good at this scheme in June, but it just hasn't clicked. Let's find the stuff we're really good at. And that's what we're going to do the next 2 days. And then we're going to rep that again, good on Tuesday, kind of like a cleanup from fall camp. And then we'll step into our first official Georgia Southern practice on Wednesday.
Maybe surprise isn't the right word, but who are some guys that had really good camps and maybe weren't in the picture and have kind of put themselves in the picture for playing time here?
Yeah, BJ, I think the awesome part about the situation we've been in is we were able to get a lot of our players mid-year. So you kind of had a good idea leaving spring. All right, this guy shows a lot of promise. We can count on him a lot because they were here in spring. Even our freshmen, the majority of them came in spring. I'd say Cam Bates as a young freshman that did not early enrollee that came here in the summertime. He's got legit speed. He's a great kid to coach, so he's going to have a part of our offense going forward. So he's one to mention. I'd say Dylan Riley, another young freshman running back that came in the summertime, did some really good things this summer. I'm trying to think off the top of my head a couple other guys, and I got to give a shout out. To Jaden Virgin Morgan. He's played really well at this point. Dealt with some injuries, but we knew he was going to be good. But he's playing at a high level right now. And then there's guys that you know who they are, and you want them to step up to the next level, and they have. Maybe they played really well for us last year, but not elite. Some of our guys have stepped up into that conversation, and so I'm proud of our guys knowing where they need to grow in and taking that step. But we had a really good idea of our team kind of leaving spring ball because the majority of them came in mid-year.
And 1 week from today, Tim Tebow is going to be here. I don't know if he's an inspiration to you, but we wanted to know, is there any plan for you, him, the team at any point for 5 minutes even to link up?
Johnny, I'd love to. And I'm calling Tim Tebow out. I'd love to link up with you, Tim Tebow. I have nothing planned yet, but I'd love to. I think very highly of Tim Tebow. He's the guy that I've listened to a lot of the stuff he spoke. So we're aligned very similarly in our beliefs. He's a man of faith. He's played football at the highest level, and what he speaks that I respect him a lot. So I'd love to get some time with him, and I'd love to find some time for him to be able to speak to our team. Nothing's set up yet, but we'll see if we can make it work. We'd love to.
Have to ask about your Mario Kart skills. You showed up Wednesday. A couple players I think were caught off guard. I think Margaret told me, I didn't think Coach D had ever touched a video game controller. How fun was that?
Yeah, I'm still frustrated about it, to be honest. Though, I joke with our guys. Growing up, video games, yeah, they were big, but I was not a video game guy. My parents were like, get outside, figure it out, So, but we did play Nintendo 64, Mario Kart, and Super Smash Bros. Like, that was all in. And so I had some confidence going into this Mario Kart race. Like, hey, you don't want to bark up this tree, Marco. Like, this is where dreams come to die, you know what I mean? And I was thrown off. I didn't compete. I had a lot of excuses that I shouldn't have pulled out, and I lost. So I got to take ownership, but you better believe I'm ready to go round 2.
You figure out the drifting yet?
Correct, yeah. I'm going to say that I didn't know about these new controllers. There's a lot more buttons than N64 is like 2 or 3.
Spencer, with the defense, last year, explosive plays, 20 plus yards, it was an issue. How are we looking after these 2 scrimmages with the defense?
Yeah, first scrimmage, ton of explosive plays. Testament to our offense. Coach Cutter, the offensive staff, our players. I think they had almost 17 explosives last week. Haven't looked at the stats from today, but that was a phenomenal job by our offense. Obviously, a lot to improve on by our defense. Did a better job today. There were some explosive passes. I talked about the huge throw to Latrell. There were a couple other big passes, but our defense grew a ton to scrimmage 2 in regards to limiting explosive plays, because that's everything on defense. That's everything as a team. Once again, it's effort, explosives, and the ball. Like, those are really the 3 keys to winning. Like, if you can win the turnover margin and you win the explosive play margin, our team has more explosive plays than them. Like, the stats, like 98% of the time you win the game in Division I football or the NFL.
How's it been working with Eric, stepping up into your position as defensive coordinator?
Say it one more time.
How's it been working with Eric?
Chins, yeah.
Stepping up into your position as DC. How's it been with you guys just working?
He's awesome. I think the world of Chins. Last year, going through it with him as the defensive coordinator, just a guy that I trust so much. We'll tirelessly work. He's got a phenomenal football mind. And a thing that I love about him is he truly loves and cares about our players. That's a mandatory thing for me as a coach. Everybody will say that, but I'm able to see it in action where how they treat their players, and they are involved in their personal lives, taking care of and pushing our players to be better versions of themselves. Chins does that on a daily basis. And he's obviously been a defensive coordinator at a very high level for a long time. So he's doing a great job with our defense, not only running it, calling it, but he's got a great D staff around him. There's a lot of bright minds in that defensive staff room, and they add to creating the plan that we need to, because we have to have a big jump from last year, and he's doing a great job.
Has Holschmidt won the right tackle job?
Right now, he's done a great job to this point, BJ. Like I said, we're gonna sit in and look at the whole depth chart, especially that's a position of watch. But I'll tell you right now, Holschmidt is ahead, and he's done a great job this fall camp.
How was the pass rush today, and overall, has it been where you think it needs to be?
It's always something we need to improve, Johnny. It's something that we have to find ways to create more chaos on a quarterback. Did a good job at the end of last year, but getting quarterback hits, sacks, like that leads to everything you want as a defense. Takeaways, there's a stat, if you get 10 QB hits, you win the football game. Like, 'cause that's their player. If he's got to pick himself off the turf 10 times, is going to be a win. So we've grown in it. Coach Chins, Coach Frazier do a great job coaching our pass rush games and being on the attack. And we've got some good rushers. Now we've got to go actually put it on film game one, because it's a huge difference going from fall camp against each other to doing it in a game where it might be play 8 of the drive. It's 3rd and 7, and you got to go find a way to win. We've grown in it, but we'll find out game one.
It feels like every day we've been hearing about Latrell Caples going out and making huge plays. How much of a boost is it to have him back out there? Not only what he can do on the field, but just to get stability, a guy who's been here a while and is a leader in that room.
Yeah. Guys, I can't say enough good things about Latrell Caples. Once again, not even just the big-time plays he had on the field. I mean, he had over 200 yards receiving today. It's who he is also as a leader. I mean, this young man is holding the standard in everything he does. He's the guy on the sideline. Let's go, stay locked in. Let's go, stay locked in. In a walkthrough, he's walking back and forth, taking a peek to make sure everybody's getting the signal, doing what they should. I can't say enough good things about Latrell, and he deserves everything he's getting, because this is a young man, you know, a little over a year ago had football taken from him. He knows how precious that is to him, and he's not wasting any moment.
Along the lines of Johnny's question on the pass rush, you had Tavian Woodard, and I was asking Coach Stocking about him earlier this week just because of the Ball State connection.
Yeah.
He said everywhere he's gone, he just makes everyone around him better.
Yeah.
What's that like? What's he add to your defensive end room?
Yeah, he adds great depth, and there's great competition in that D end room right now. I mean, we were able, and Tavion's a smart young man. We're able to put him at the D end and at our boundary stud position too, because he can pick up defense that well. So we've been able to play him at D end and at stud, and he's done a really good job. So it creates more competition, and I know he came here to play, and he's working his tail off to get on that field, and he's done a really good job at this point. Another one, just that being said, I mean, Max Steege, another DN for us, has had a really solid fall camp. Another guy that didn't play spring with a knee injury from last season, and he stepped up a lot this fall camp.
How many quarterbacks took snaps?
We had 4 quarterbacks take snaps. Obviously, Maddox, Malachi, Caleb, and Max all take snaps. All took snaps today.
You kind of sum up fall camp. I mean, you don't know if you guys are doing the Table Rock hike tomorrow,
Yep.
but I mean, just to be where you were and be where you're at now as you get into the simulated game
Yep.
week. Just in terms of just the mindset, avoiding serious injuries, just overall, how'd you feel about camp?
Well, first off, and I don't know if I'm speaking out of place here, but football is about reacting. Football is about responding to adversity. Like the famous Mike Tyson's quote, you got to plan until you get punched in the face. And that's what we're trying to continue to evolve with our players. So 3 months ago, looking at the fall camp schedule, going through it, and I only told a couple people, we had a sudden change. We're gonna hike Table Rock here in about 30 minutes. No players knew that, no coaches knew it, because I want there to be things that you're not ready for, because that's football. Hey, we're winning. Oh, late touchdown. We're in overtime. What? Why did this happen? That's football, man. And it's just building into our guys. It's okay to do hard stuff and have a smile on your face. So we're going to knock out Table Rock here in about 15 minutes. So I got to go get warmed up, ready to rock. But I'm proud of our guys. We're not where we need to be yet. 2 weeks in, though, like I talked about to start, just like the analogy with the iron, you got to get in the fire to become great. Our guys did that. We put our guys in hard situations in fall camp. We worked our tail off. Testament to our guys. Walkthroughs at night. Our guys grew a lot this fall camp. There's still a lot of meat on the bone. We still got 2 weeks to continue to fine-tune and prepare. But I'm really proud of the leadership of our team. I'm proud of our coaches to where we are now, BJ, because I want to and desire to be a player-led team. Bad teams, no one leads. Average teams, coaches lead. Elite teams, players lead it. And right now we've got a good group of leaders that this matters to them, not just their own personal gain and success. They want to be an elite team. Now it's, are we going to go out and earn it every day? And I believe they did through fall camp. Now it's how we finish the next 2 weeks to be fresh, but be ready.
So the players just found out right after practice?
Oh, yeah. Coaches, too. So they're probably talking about me in the locker room right now, so I got to go make sure I don't get jumped.
You didn't tell anybody?
I told our operations staff
Okay.
just so we could have the buses and stuff ready. Yep.
What do you think of George's first NFL touchdown?
Awesome. I mean, you talk about George Halani, 10 out of 10. I mean, a young man that's been through a lot of injuries here, how he finished the season and who he is. I mean, I will be rooting for him for life because he deserves all of it. George Halani's phenomenal.